Imagine getting this mad because your bubble tea was made wrong. Police were called to this bubble tea place after this grown man had a meltdown because his bubble tea tasted too bitter. He got so mad that he threatened to throw the drink at the worker and said some very offensive stuff in Korean. Then he tried to force the worker to drink the bubble tea that he just finished putting in his mouth.
You know the reason why I'm here.
I do.
And I explained. It was so bitter to drink.
I will explain.
Could you check this? Could you try this?
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new to the channel, man, if you guys don't know what we do, let me tell you guys what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in with us, man, watching the video entirely, hitting that post notification bell so you always get notified, and hitting the like button on each and every single video. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
Facts about money that will blow your mind.
Talk about it.
There are 1,700 new millionaires in America every day. There are already 25 million people in the United States that are millionaires today. This means that 7.5% of the United States is a millionaire. Singapore has the world's highest percentage of millionaires in their country, with almost 20% of the entire country having more than $1 million US. Annual supply of water bottles can cost up to $200 a year, while tap water will only cost you 33 cents. King Charles made $34 million in rent income last year. Walt Disney fired the creator of Goofy because he tried to start a union. Money laundering wasn't a crime in the United States until 1986. Due to how much money they generate, 42 buildings in New York City have their own zip code. When we're tempted to buy something, thinking about how many hours it's going to take to afford that thing usually helps us stop.
You spitting, bro. You about to buy something important? Think how many hours, man, go down the drain getting that unnecessary purchase, man. Also, Singapore, bro, 20% as a millionaire, man. Shoot, I might have to move there, bro. Man, watch out. I need to crack that. I'm trying to get into that millionaire percentage. That's insane, man. That 20% over there has millionaires. Crazy.
If you are a family influencer or post your child on social media, here are a few things you should never do in my own opinion. Number 1, might be common sense, but never post your child in a bathing suit. It's disgusting how many of these Instagram accounts exist that just solely share these types of photos and even have their own groups and communities, so just don't. Number 2, having your very young child's own Instagram page. For example, the LeBrant family. They have an Instagram account for each of their very young children, and just because it's managed by mom and dad does not mean it stops thousands of sick individuals from following the account and using their photos for exploitation. Number 3, AI generated photos are becoming more and more realistic, so think about that before you post a picture of your child eating, crying, or honestly doing anything. When it comes to this type of inappropriate content, people will do anything to get a photo. Honestly, as someone who has talked about true crime stories for over 3 years, I highly suggest to never post your kid on social media. If you have other tips, please comment that down below.
Let's talk about this brave man whose life was taken while he tried to protect his family at the Trump campaign rally. On July 13th, 50-year-old Corey Comprador, his wife and 2 daughters attended the rally in Pennsylvania where Trump was speaking. The family sat on the stand right behind Trump when less than 10 minutes into the speech, the shooting began, and while Trump was hit in the right ear, 3 other people were also hit. These are 2 of the 3 victims, David Dutch and James Copenhaver. They were in critical condition but are expected to recover. Unfortunately, 50-year-old Corey did lose his life while he tried to protect his family. His wife Helen and his 2 daughters said that he died a hero, and the last words that he said to them was to get down before he threw them to the floor and covered them. Corey worked as a project and tooling engineer and was a firefighter of the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Company. After this tragic and sad incident, over $4.7 million has been donated to the victims, with Elon Musk donating $100,000 as well as Dana White and Kid Rock.
These are 8 horrifying facts
Madness,
that will
man.
probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark.
What?
The human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 8.
What facts got to y'all, man? It's about the gelatin and the marshmallows for me. That was an edit.
Nearly ended up in the hospital, and not for any reason you think. Shout out to Nat Geo for sponsoring this video. I'm gonna change the way you look at sharks in less than 60 seconds. Let's get it. The author of Jaws, Peter Benchley, not only did he regret writing the book because of all the bad PR to sharks, he would dedicate the rest of his life to shark conservation. If Jaws were written today, the shark would be the victim. The Greenland shark is a slow-burn glacier guppy that can not only live for up to 400 years, they don't hit baby-making age until 150. 150, dude, and still young. Now, there's more than 500 types of sharks, so it's easy to miss one, like the chain cat shark, which happens to glow in the dark that's biofluorescence. The epaulet is a shark that disrespects the natural order by walking, using pelvic and pectoral fins to move around during low tide. Sharks use a type of camouflage called countershading, meaning if you're above them, they blend into the dark abyss, but if you're below them, their light underbelly gets lost in the light of the sky. When you've been around longer than trees, nature gives you perks like that. That's Anthony Mackie. It is, and he and Ross Edgley and many more will be a part of National Geographic Shark Fest airing on Disney Plus and Hulu. Check it out if you're ready to see sharks be anything but the bad guy. Oh, that's right.
Not me, bro. He's going into underwater with sharks. Even with the cage, man, I do not trust that one bit. I'm sorry, Seekers. That's just me.
I wasn't lying. The sharks are fine, but the ocean slammed me against the Boston cage like it owed me money. So, moral of the story, I'm not afraid of sharks, just the ocean around it.
This is why you should never take walks alone at night. In 2007, a girl was on a late-night walk when she looked at the end of the road and saw the silhouette of a man moving around very strangely. It was like he was doing the waltz, but he was moving towards her. So she was sketched out, crossed the road, and went the other way. After a couple minutes, she turned around to see what he was doing, and he was right across the street from her, now staring up into the sky with a huge grin on his face. Now totally creeped out, she turns around and walks about a half block before checking again, and to her horror, he's now crouched down right behind her. But luckily, he stands up, turns around, and kind of hobbles away. And then she notices something. The man had turned around and was now sprinting directly towards her. She runs to safety and now just hopes she never has to see that smiling man again.
Smiling man? We believe that still
These are
Seekers?
scary facts about popular childhood movies, Part 1. Up first, Claire Blandick, who played Auntie Em in The Wizard of Oz, suffered from arthritis that was so painful that she committed suicide at the age of 85. She did her hair and makeup one final time, and put on a nice dress before overdosing on sleeping pills. She then left a note that said, "I am now about to make the great adventure. I cannot endure this agonizing pain any longer. It's all over my body. I pray the Lord my soul to take. Amen." Next up, in the movie The Adventures of Milo and Otis, it's been reported that upwards of 20 cats were killed during the filming of the movie.
What?
There's a lot of speculation behind this, because the film somehow got the approval of the American Humane Society, despite not having their officers present during filming.
Whoa, man. We knew these freaking movies and TV shows had dark history, but I didn't know it was that dark. All those cats, man, just for a movie? You gotta watch what we paid attention to, man. these movies and shows. It's like it's always a dark origins behind them.
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all of these on Reddit. Do you remember the movie A Land Before Time? Well, if you do, of course you remember this loving character, Ducky. Ducky was just adorable, that's literally it. But the backstory of the voice actor that plays Ducky is absolutely terrifying. The voice actor who played Ducky was actually killed by her extremely abusive father. During 9/11, we all know that a lot of emergency workers actually gave their lives trying to save people. But there was also a lot of dogs that did the same thing. So these dogs were going around trying to rescue people, but all they were finding were dead corpses. And this literally made the dogs depressed. So seeing this as a solution, a lot of the police officers and firefighters would bury themselves in rubble just so that the dogs would be able to find them and be able to rescue someone. Rattlesnakes are actually evolving to not have a rattle anymore. If they were to do this, they would become one of the more deadly snakes on Earth because they would lose the one thing that let us know where they are. So if you live in an area where there's a lot of rattlesnakes, I'd be careful because one could be lurking around and you won't even know anymore. But I'm sorry for you to make you think about that, but that's why.
Evolution, man. It's a scary thing.
This is why you should be scared of Ouija boards. A former Reddit user said that he used a Ouija board with results and let something into his home. He said that he has also been physically assaulted by this entity. He said that it started out with a feeling that he was being watched, doors closing and footsteps on the hardwood floor when he was home alone. All of this slowly progressed into being kept awake by something shaking the bed and pulling off the covers. He said that sometimes he even heard whispers of his name. The board would disappear for days on end and then show up in places that he never even put it. He became obsessed with it. Things got even worse though. He said that he began to see a black mass in the corner of the room and the silhouette of a man watching him from the doorway. One night, the paranormal activity escalated into a full-blown attack. He said that he had his hair pulled, fingers pricked, and that he was choked while being held down in bed. During the attack, he claims that this thing whispered into his ear in what could have only been Latin. After this event, he finally decided to have his house blessed. And fortunately, this entity hasn't shown back up. He said that he will never again play with one of those boards.
This is the case of
Not
the
me.
girl that vanished into thin air. Her name is Yuki Onishi.
On April 29th of 2005, 5-year-old Yuki was out celebrating Greenery Day with her mother. It's a national holiday in Japan, and what they do is they go out, they celebrate nature, and they collect bamboo shoots. So Yuki, her mom, and 60 other people were out doing this. Yuki was so excited that she found her first bamboo shoot, she showed her mother, and then she ran off to find more. That's when she disappeared and was never seen from again. When they realized that she was nowhere to be found, they actually brought in search dogs and the police. This is where it gets really strange. The dogs followed her scent to the middle of the forest and then just stopped. The scent stopped in the middle of the forest as if she had just disappeared into thin air from that spot. To this day, she has never been found and no one knows what happened. If you want to hear some theories, come back for part 2.
Do you remember this
Scary.
horror game that no longer exists? Let's talk about a terrifying horror experience that was taken off the web. Hotel 626. More obscure horror games right here. This game is an example of lost media and the images are a little blurry, so bear with me. Hotel 626 is a horror game that was actually made by Doritos for a marketing campaign. You go through a series of disturbing events that take place inside of a hotel while you try to escape. But the name of the game actually means more than you might think. The 626 in the game's title stands for the fact that this game was only playable between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. every day.
Really?
Meaning you had to play this game at night. There was no other choice. Now, I did some research and there really is no way to play this game today. Luckily though, footage does still exist on YouTube, so at least we have that. Hotel 626 actually made enough of an impact that it received a sequel called Asylum 626, but we'll talk about that later.
It's lost medias, man. I wonder why did they take it down, bro? It was made by Doritos. It wasn't even like a regular game company. We're gonna have to go through that rabbit hole, Seekers, man. Figure out why it got taken down. That's eerie. That's an edit.
Interesting people you've never heard of. This man attempted to dribble a soccer ball 10,000 miles from Seattle to Brazil, but unfortunately lost his life after being hit by a pickup truck only 250 miles in. Disney co-founder Roy Disney went to Disneyland every single week with his grandchildren, greeting employees by name and picking up trash to teach them the lesson that nobody is too good to pick up trash. This woman sat at a table in a New York museum for 736 hours over 3 months, allowing anybody to come up and sit across from her and make eye contact with no speaking. This French woman was imprisoned by her family for 25 years in the late 1800s without seeing any sunlight. This man smashed the door of a cupcake store, sat for 15 minutes and thought about what he did, cleaned up his mess in regret, and then stole 6 cupcakes. The store owner saw everything on camera. Instead of pressing charges, he created a signature cupcake after him.
I want to go ahead and I want to discuss this Instagram story and what makes this diabolically creepy. So I'm not going to give the name. I blocked everything out because clearly they want to remain anonymous. Context is that somebody clearly broke into their old school. I don't know if it was their middle school, high school, whatever it was. And they posted this to their story, but pretty soon after, people started commenting about what they see in the background. You zoom in just a little bit, you would see that this person was not alone in that classroom. But before we take a deeper look at that photo, a huge thank you to Spyfly for bringing me this story. You want to look up something about somebody, you go to Spyfly. How to become this one-stop shop where you can do background reports, you can look at arrest records, you can even do reverse phone lookup. Spyfly.com is going to be the place to do it. You can check the link in my bio for more details. So back to this photo. I don't know if you can see this, but there is definitely somebody crouching in the background of this classroom. And if you still doubt me, I zoomed in and enhanced the picture for you.
Disturbing facts.
Somebody was definitely dead.
This woman passed away in her home while watching TV and was not discovered for 3 years. Girls at a nearby camp danced in the falling white ash of the atomic trinity test when it was happening. 10 out of 12 of the girls that danced in the ash passed away before the age of 40. This man donated $100,000 to UCLA to bypass a queue for a liver transplant. 186 people in the Los Angeles area passed away waiting for this same surgery. This woman survived after her parachute failed to deploy just days after surviving a gas leak at her house. Both events were found to be intentional plots carried out by her husband. Hitler had a romantic obsession with his teenage half-niece. All of the members of your group chat will eventually pass away, leaving the group to just exist forever. We are one convincing deep fake away from a global catastrophe.
You guys believe that last fact? Y'all's getting advanced, so it's not out of the question.
Wait. You don't remember what she looks like?
September 25th, 1981, something very strange took place up in the Smoky Mountains. This is a picture of Pauline Melton, and it would end up being one of the last known photos of her. Because while Pauline was up there, she was with 2 hiking companions. They described that she, all of a sudden, without explanation, just started to rapidly speed up. They even described that they called out to her. They were asking, Pauline, where are you going? Pauline. She never answered. She never looked back until she crossed over a hill. Since that exact moment, Pauline was never seen again. And to this day, they still have no idea where she went and why she did it.
Terrifying true facts that will keep you up at night, part 2. Most people would consider ducklings to be relatively harmless and innocent creatures, but they can be more sinister than you might realize. When a group of ducklings starts to feel overcrowded, aggravated, or even just bored sometimes, they will often turn to cannibalism to solve their problems for them. This is a characteristic that they share with other animals we tend to regard as being cute, such as chickens and bunny rabbits. And speaking of cute, let's talk about babies. Up until the mid-1980s, doctors would routinely operate on infants without the use of anesthetics. This is because it was thought that babies couldn't experience pain. Also in the 1980s, CNN pre-recorded an ominous video meant to be published in the event of an end-of-the-world scenario. Comment if you think that video will be published during your lifetime, and follow for more.
What do you guys think? CNN made a whole freaking doomsday video. It makes you think what other freaking big media company corporations, man, have doomsday videos just ready for us. Hopefully, man, we never see that in our lifetime.
Creepy people who were
were caught on camera PT.1.
Yeah, why he lurking? No. Yeah, what the hell? Another one. She can see. They know her? They knew. They knew something was up and they left. They felt that energy, Mo. Who was that running to him? Yeah, that's chilling. A man breaks into the house. You don't find no trace
This
of him.
priest tied himself to 1,000 colorful helium balloons and then was found in the ocean months later. On April 20th, 2008, 41-year-old Father Adiller DeCarli wanted to raise money to build a chapel in his hometown, so he chose to tie himself up to 1,000 helium balloons and float over the ocean. He also hoped to break the previous 19-hour record, but unfortunately, things ended tragically. On the morning of April 20th, Father Adiller was fully repaired to take off, and for safety reasons he put on a helmet, waterproof coveralls, and an aluminum thermal flight suit, as well as a GPS tracker and a radio to communicate with people on the ground. Only a few hours after taking off, despite the radio and GPS tracker, Father Adiller disappeared and could not be located. The last thing that he said through the radio was that he was losing height and was going to land in the ocean. Search and rescue teams were immediately dispatched, and after 2 days, they found the colorful balloons in the sea off Brazil's southeast coast, but Father Adiller was not there. Then, a few months later, a body was found in the ocean, which turned out to be him. It was reported that the priest had reached an altitude of 20,000 feet and then was blown off course by the strong winds, causing his tragic death.
So with the amount of people that pass away in hospitals, it's no surprise that they're reportedly full of a lot of paranormal activity. Some people even say that when there are many deaths occurring in a certain area, portals are opened up. And as these souls exit this world, other things, entities, creep in. A nurse who wants to remain anonymous said that she used to work in a skilled nursing facility. She was usually assigned the Alzheimer's ward. One night, she was in the linen room stocking her cart, and she heard someone shuffle up behind her. Then, she said she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned around, and there was no one else in the room. A female patient started to complain that there was a man coming into her room late at night. Anonymous said that she was in the Alzheimer's ward, so she didn't think much of it. To reassure the patient, she told her that she would come check on her throughout the night. She complained of this man every night for 2 more weeks. The nurse finally asked her to describe him, and the patient said, "He's real handsome, and he wears a black suit. Oh, and he's right behind you now, honey." The nurse said that this freaked her the F out. Of course, there was no one behind her. The patient died the next night in her sleep. So these nurses and doctors really do have a lot of great supernatural stories, and I don't know what to think about that one, because she was, like she said, in an Alzheimer's ward, and Alzheimer's patients can hallucinate. But the nurse did say that when she heard someone shuffle up behind her, she also felt a hand on her shoulder. And I don't know, guys, this story is pretty creepy. The patient described the man as being in all black, yet very handsome. I know that the Grim Reaper is conventionally described as being in like a hooded cloak. But could this have been the Grim Reaper? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
Imagine getting this mad because your bubble tea was made wrong. Police were called to this bubble tea place after this grown man had a meltdown because his bubble tea tasted too bitter. He got so mad that he threatened to throw the drink at the worker and said some very offensive stuff in Korean. Then he tried to force the worker to drink the bubble tea that he just finished putting in his mouth.
You know the reason why I'm here. You know,
I do.
And I explained. It was so bitter to drink.
I
will explain. And could you check this? Could you try this? I told her. But she rejected.
Hey, first off, there's no reason to act like this over a drink. You're a grown man.
This is the worker, and she tried to find a solution by offering to make him a new drink or give him a refund, but this man was so mad. He didn't want any of that. He just wanted to fight. The workers ended up calling the police because this man was getting pretty aggressive, and when the police arrived and heard both stories, they were upset because this man was acting like a baby over a drink. Then this man called his daughter so that she can better explain the situation because there was a language barrier, and you would think that she had more common sense, but it seems that common sense does not run in this family because she was blaming the workers for everything.
There's bigger things in life to worry about than a damn drink that's bitter enough.
I know, sir. Sir, you're really disgusting.
But if then you go to another location, if I go to a restaurant and they offend me, I'm just not going to bring my business in.
I know, that's how you handle your problem. And this is
But
how
you can't come into public and then cause a disturbance.
Sir, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that he was offended, you know, he may seem like really offensive and you apologize, okay? But when someone is really worked up and there's no de-escalation of the problem because they're not apologizing for the service, then we only get really upset.
Okay, but he's got to be in charge of his own emotions.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like the drink, then take the refund and don't come back. It's simple. It's so frustrating to see the entitlement and lack of awareness of these people. I felt so bad for this worker. She broke down in tears and apologized to this man so many times, but he wasn't satisfied and just wanted to continue to fight. It's so frustrating to see this, especially because she's working at a bubble tea place. She probably gets paid minimum wage and she has to deal with people like this.
What's up about bubble tea, really? Come on, man. People have to be better, bro. Plain and simple. That's just wow. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys follow me on my social medias down below. Hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload a video. And hit that like button, man. Help push us into this algorithm. Greatly appreciate the support. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new to the channel, man, you guys don't know what we do, man. Let me explain. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in with us and with each and every single video I drop, watching the video entirely, hitting that post notification bell, man, and hitting that like button on each and every video, man. You guys are helping us push us into the algorithm. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Like I said, we're checking out this other side of TikTok for these past couple of videos. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
That's a shapeshifter. Story time. Growing up in Haiti, or anyone who has Haitian parents can tell you that there is such a thing as shapeshifters, Lugawus in Haiti. And that is the reason why they also tell you whenever you hear a cat sounding like that outside your house at a certain time at night, you should not go outside to go see what's wrong with the cat, because usually it's not a cat, and you will not live to see or tell the story of what you would witness. So I remember one time we were all in the house. It was late, very, very late. Usually we'll stay up even though we cannot be outside at a certain time. If you go to Haiti, you should always listen to the locals when they tell you do not go at a certain area, to a certain area, or at a certain time go outside. Because trust me, you won't make it back in the house. And I'm not even over exaggerating. But anyway, so we were all in the house. We were young, but there was a bunch of grown-ups in the house also. Everybody's sleeping, and we were all waking up by this big boom that was on top of the house. And in Haitian houses in Haiti, they actually don't have like real like roof like we have here, but they have like metals. So any little thing you can hear it. Even if the rain, we usually were able to fall asleep with the rain sound because it's just so loud and it's so soothing and all that stuff. But when the nightmare starts, trust me, you will hear every single thing. So we're sleeping and we're all waking up at this boom. Even the children, you know how children can sleep real well, right? They sleep through everything. We all were waking up. But the grown-ups already know because they're so used to it. And also we know a well-known Lugawu in the town that everybody could respect because we know how powerful she is. And a lot of people have been taken out by her, but they can never prove that it was her until one day. So anyways, we're all sleeping and we're waking up by this sound. And we just hear footsteps on top of the house just walking as if like it's like, you know, grains falling in the house, but it's like real loud footsteps, just walking, and all the adults just start praying, and the children were just scared because we're so used to hearing stories about that happening, and eventually it happened to us. So we're like scared, and the adults are praying, even though like voodoo is a religion in Haiti, they still pray. A lot of people pray but still practice voodoo because that's really our religion. Just like the Catholic people, they also practice voodoo, but also they tell you that it's bad. Anyways, so they're praying. The children are trying to figure out what's going on. While the baby, my aunt had a baby that was just a few weeks old, not even a month, a few weeks old. The baby just kept crying non-stop. And they usually, whenever they come in on top of your house, they're coming for the baby, not children who are a certain age. They're coming for the innocent, right? So the baby's crying. The people are praying, so there's a lot going on, and the noise on top and everything. All of a sudden, the noise stopped, but we hear a cat right by the door, literally right at the door, right? This cat just sounded like a baby. It's literally almost matching the sound of the baby that's crying. The cat sounded like a baby, scratching at the door, making noises, scratching at the door, making noise, and that's when the prayers started louder. And eventually the children fell asleep because the cat just kept going. I fell asleep because I was young at the time. Then eventually we heard the story the next day, but then what really made us believe it is what we saw the next day, what we experienced the next day. So we fell asleep. The adults, I guess, continued to do whatever they were doing. The next day we wake up to the horror of everything. The baby that was crying was basically covered in ants, covered head to toe, ants eating the baby's skin, everything. I mean, I should have given you guys a warning. Eating everything. But of course, you know, everything is still intact, but the skin is ant mark, bite marks from the ants. Baby, gone. Pass. Don't know why, don't know how, but the baby's gone. What happened last night happened. Next morning, wake up, baby's gone. And that was the first child that my aunt lost. And then finally after that, she just kept losing children up until 7 kids. She lost 7 kids until she actually stopped having kids. Every time one passed, she has another one. Every time one passed, I'm like, as someone who has common sense, you would think, okay, I'll stop after maybe the 3rd or 4th one. Well, she just kept having children. Eventually, she decided, okay, well, I'm not going to have any more kids if I'm going to keep losing them. But when she had her first son, which is the oldest child, that child survived because she didn't live in the house. She didn't live in that town when she had that child, so that child survived. But eventually, she lost her life to the same thing. And also, I lost my godmom to the same thing. I have a story for that. Also, my older sister who lives right now in the United States, we almost lost her to a neighbor who was practicing brujeria, voodoo. Very good person, good people, but it was a mistake that happened, and we were able to figure it all out. If you guys want to hear about that story, I will tell you. But my mom even sent money for us to buy like coffin for her, preparing for her funeral and everything. Now she's a nurse. Anyway, guys, bye.
Whoa. I mean, that's a shocking story, Seekers. Like I said, we heard that cat sounding like it definitely was sounding like a person, man. She broke it down for us. What do you guys think, man? We've seen like skinwalkers before, but they said this is shapeshifter, so are they like different things? 2 separate things? It's Talk about it down below.
Story time on the time that I saw my neighbor who had already passed away going to go get water while I was on my way back from getting water to go to the house. And when I got to the house, I found out that she had passed away that morning, and I didn't even know that. So this was kind of crazy. I'm laughing because I couldn't sleep for a good month and a half after all this happened, right? So I told the story during Halloween a couple years ago on YouTube, and the feedback was crazy. So I figured I'll just bring it back since TikTok people don't know about it. So going back to Haiti, I was very, very young. We had this neighbor that used to sell those things that you will light up at night if you have mosquitoes. They shape like a snake. I don't know what they're called. Maybe if you know, let me know in the comment below. But she used to sell those things, and one day she just fell sick. Very, very sick. We just never saw her. We will go to her. So every time we order, this person will come to the door and give us what we need. But Sister Mary, which is the lady who always gives us the things that we need, just hadn't been showing up. But as a child, I'm like, okay, well, it's her house. Maybe she's either in the house, don't want to come out, or she went to the next town over to go visit her family. And hey, that's a normal thing. You can just go visit your family for like 6 months and then come back, right?
Okay.
So eventually my aunt came and told us that Sister Mary, that was her name, is not feeling well. She's at home, but she's just not feeling well. As children, we just let it go. Okay, well, Sister Mary's sick, whatever. Well, one day, I was sent to get water. It was my turn to go get water. So the way to go get water is basically, it's like 15 minutes away, but you do carry the water, and we take turn in the house as children. They sent different people different days, right? So this one particular day, it was early in the morning, they sent me to go get water. I'd say maybe, well, not really early, it was summertime. I'd say around like 10, 11. They sent me to go get water. I went to go collect water. And as I was coming back from collecting water, I'm walking down this 15-minute walk. I'm carrying the thing on top of my head. I'm walking down, and I saw someone who looks like Sister Mary. And my aunt was saying how frail she was. She's losing a lot of weight, blah, blah, blah. But when I saw this person, she looked just like I remember Sister Mary to be, like how she was before, you know, thick. You know, she wasn't like fat, but she was thick. You know, she looked fine. She looked normal. She didn't look sick. So I saw her. I said hello to her. We're talking. And, you know, I told her, we haven't seen you. We heard that you were sick. Yeah, so we heard that you were sick. How are things doing? You look like you're doing much better now. And she answered me like normal, like someone she knows, right?
Okay.
So I just went on about my business. I told her have a good day. She told me she was going to go collect water, and she had the bucket in her hand and everything. So I told her have a good day, and I continued on my merry way. So I ended up going home that day, and I told my sister, I'm like, yo, you will never guess who I just saw at the water thing, right? So I told her a whole story about this lady that I just saw, and we know her because she's our neighbor. So I'm like, yeah, I saw her. You know, she looked good. I don't know what Aunt was talking about because she doesn't look sick. Her eyes literally opened up as if she just saw a ghost. I'm like, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? She says, oh, nothing. So I'm like, okay. I just went about my day and continued doing whatever I was doing until a few minutes later, I hear people screaming and yelling. Well, the news have been spreading in the whole town that Sister Mary has passed away. I'm looking at my sister and I'm thinking, what the fuck? What do you mean Sister Mary passed away? I just saw Sister Mary. What do you mean? And she looked fine.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's yelling. Nobody's telling me what's going on. And then finally, my sister told me, oh, yeah, Sister Mary died this morning. I'm like, there's no way. How could Sister Mary die this morning? I just told you I saw her this morning. She's like, well, that's the crazy thing because you're telling me you just saw her and Sister Mary died before you went to go collect water.
Ghost confirmed? Spirit?
From there on, I kid you not, I could not speak. I could not move. Everything was crazy.
Here we go.
Man, what do you guys think about that story? Was that like a ghost or she communicating with spirit or something? Like a man, she was talking to a person, but they already passed. So, who is she talking to?
Virginia teen
Insane.
dies after she tried to summon the Haitian voodoo god Papalegua. So Love decided to dabble in the darker voodoo arts, but she ain't got no knowledge of how this thing really go. This is why you gotta watch when you practicing something without having a self-evaluation journey that you've been on. You hear me? I don't
charge summoning an African descendant god will help you. Papa in Haiti is known as the Great Executioner, and it's said that he could speak many different languages and persuade people at his will. And once again, he resides at the spiritual crossroads. So let me give y'all some insight every time you face with a difficult decision you gotta make. Rather that being life or death decisions or career-based decisions. Quit thinking about calling on some deity gonna point you in the right direction if you haven't done the self-work. Because you could get fooled by a spirit that you might think is holy and lovely for a spirit that's there to take over your will. So she gets in a Facebook group and start telling the people that she's about to start doing new spell work and ain't nothing wrong with trying new things. Alright. And I quote, let people have their own religion. So she started telling people, stop saying I'm from God or you can be from God. I'm wicked and I always will be. So shut the F up and let me do what I want to do. Alright. Now wicked means a religion influenced by pre-Christian beliefs and the practices of Western Europe that affirms the supernatural powers. It's a form of paganism. And this has nothing to do with voodoo practices. So now I guess her ex wants to get into it and had a fallout. So she get on Facebook talking about she about to go put her ex on her ex-girlfriend. Now mind you, her ex-girlfriend is African American. Let me give you a little quick insight on when to put spells on people or hex work on people. And they kind of taught you that on Vampire Diaries with Bonnie. Now remember when she spoke with her ancestors and her ancestors told her, if you keep drawing power from your ancestors, it's going to be a blowback to that. Which is why when Bonnie would use her powers, her nose would start bleeding. Because whatever you take from nature, you must replenish back. Which is called the circle of life, baby. Now here's an example up here where somebody also was trying to use that voodoo stuff and it fired back on them. I prayed for lots of money even though I had money. I was greedy and I stopped my voodoo sacrifices. I was punished by losing my leg in an accident. I'm getting money which is worthless to me. I'd rather have my legs back. The woman I wanted to marry left me because of my leg. I lost my promising career and I had to totally change my college studies for a degree that was worthless to me. All because I messed with the spirits. And you keep on playing and not listening, you're gonna learn the hard way, baby. So back to Kate. So now we get a picture where she tried to make a voodoo doll that looked like her. Got the girl hair twisted like dreads. We don't know what petition she wrote. We don't know if she had needles in the doll. She might have even had her real hair samples in the damn doll, you hear me? Now I want to know, baby, what in your right mind think that you can call on an African deity to do some harm to an African person and you are a European woman? In what world do you think that makes sense, baby? Like, come on now, love. And then people tried to warn you before doing this. They told you not to go along with this. They told you not to move forward with this. Practicing other people's African spirituality when you're not African is dangerous. So now I start getting people. You saw Papa Lego today, huh? You thought you saw him. And that's the problem. You getting indulged in something where you never was initiated inside the culture, mama. You gotta think, man. Nah, Kayla was a beautiful woman, had a beautiful soul. She done a lot for her community. She was a stand-up woman. She just got involved in some things without the proper knowledge that led to some bad outcome. Nah, so Caitlin eventually died in a bathtub, and she left behind a beautiful daughter named Aaliyah, which is very sad, baby. She adored her daughter greatly, just for her daughter to have to go through that. Prayers and condolences to her family. Now later on, a few spiritual leaders did a reading on the woman and noticed that she wasn't summoning Papa Legua, but Barun. And because of shows like American Horror Story, where they gave you a mixture of Barun and Papa Legua, they had you thinking that he was Papa Legua, but Papa Legua on American Horror Story, that was actually depicted as Barun.
What do you guys think of that story, man? He broke it down. All the way down, man. He went more definite on that story.
Good morning. It's 9:34 in the morning, so it's time for another story. And this time the story is being recorded late because I spent my entire morning talking about the anguish of what it means to be a black woman in America. So today calls for a feel-good story, and I'm going to tell you the most popular folktale in Haiti. That's right.
Okay.
It's the Little Mermaid, but darker. This most likely will be divided in 3 parts or 4 because I'm taking a lot of time to talk about. But just so you understand, the majority of the time the story is being told, the protagonist is a fish. But Usually as you grow up, it makes more sense that the protagonist is a mermaid or a merman. Most of the time the protagonist is male because the leading romance protagonist, the second one, is a woman who goes to the water. She's a little girl. But at times you will find that the protagonist is a mermaid, you know, a woman, because the leading person that's going to be the love interest is a little boy. Alright, let's get started. The Little Mermaid, with a Haitian epice. Also, a lot of Haitians believe in mermaids. So there was a young girl, and we're going to call her Rose, who had a brother named Richard, a younger brother. Every morning they would go to the spring to get water to do their daily chores. Whether that's cooking, cleaning, whatever they needed the water for, they would go to the river to get it. One morning, Rose heads to the river by herself, and as she's getting some water, she has a ring, a silver ring on her, one of her fingers, obviously, and it slips down and it falls in the stream. Now, she was really fond of this ring, so obviously she's really sad. She's like, oh my god, I lost my ring, wah. And then as she's like frantically looking for it, out pops the head. And in this story, I'm going to make him a mermaid. So out pops a little head. And so as the head goes up, she realizes it's a fish. It's a man, but it's a fish. And the fish spits up her ring. So she takes the ring and she thanks the fish. And the fish, shockingly to her, speaks. The fish says, hi, I'm Tizan. And she says, hi, I'm Rose. Tizan says, this is my water. This is my spring. If you want water, like clean water, because your water is clean, but I know where the real good shit is. If you want better water, you could just holler at me and I'll go get it for you. And she goes, oh, thank you. But how do I holler at you? And so he teaches her this little song. And so he goes, if you ever need to reach me, sing this song. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan. You get it? It literally translates to Tizan, Tizan, my friend, Tizan. But in the book, she has it written in a more like, I don't know, she has it written how she wants. But that's how I remember the song.
So, this happened in Miami. And yeah, I still live in Miami. I was like around 6 or 7. This was like back in 2000, I think 2006, I believe. So, we used to stay in this building. And in the building, it used to be full of Haitians, full of Haitians. If you're Haitian and you know what's a Lugawu, then you know what I mean. So, it was one night, it was me and my brother, we was in the room, we was sleeping, my mama and my dad was in their room. Okay. So it was like 2, I would say like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We sleeping, we little kids, we sleeping, blah, blah. Then randomly something happened. Bruh, something told us to get up. We woke up, literally, me and him woke up. And I swear, bruh, this Lugawu lady, bruh, we've been having problems with for the longest. She was in our room. Like, she was literally in our room, bruh. Like, literally in our room. Staring at us. And we was on the wall. We, like, the TV right here and the wall right there. And we were stuck on the wall. We don't know what to do. But she was mostly coming from my little brother. Because, my little Lugawus, they like young kids. If they see a beautiful young child, they're going to take them. So, as a big brother, I was not going to let that shit happen. So I fought her. You feel me? I'm getting right with her a little bit. She low-key beat me up. But, I'm getting right with her a little bit. Give her a quick soklo and everything. Damn punch me in my rib. To this day, like, if I'm running so fast, my right hip will start hurting like crazy. So we fighting, boom, boom, boom. My little brother, he yelling. Then I start yelling. Then my mom came, burst in the room. Then she just disappeared, like boom. So my mom was like, okay, my point. A couple days later, man, my auntie, my mom, even my dad, my uncle, they all went after that lady. They whooped that lady out. They banged on the door. They did everything it takes. To this day, bruh, that shit still scarred the fuck out of me. But it's part of being a Haitian, that's what most Haitians go through in life. Most. I can't say all, but most. You feel me? But yes, Lugawus, these vampires in Haiti, that's called Lugawus, they are real. They are real. If you're from Haiti, you know what I mean. Like, even the American kids, Haitian American kids, y'all know what I mean by Lugawus, bro. This shit real. It's real. Like, it's really real. It's not American vampires.
Damn, for the Vampire 7? Like I said, we're checking out a different side of TikTok, so these stories, man, freaking shocking me, bro. Breaking down the culture. But at 7, he had to fight off to protect his brother, and he did it too. Props to him, man.
I have been like damn near harassing me for this.
Lugawu again.
Creepy story time.
Trying to get at
it all
him.
happened in Haiti. My mom was throwing a party, like a little get together, and everyone was having fun, but it was getting late, so everybody had to go home. After they went home, my mom heard a big sound coming from outside. It sounded like this. Yeah, like a cow. So she went outside to check. She saw a huge cow, the size of the road. No, literally, the size of the road.
What the hell was it doing?
They know exactly why they're scared, but you might not, so let me tell you. Make it a long story short, nobody with that much money is just gonna be handing it around. Oh, it must be juju money. They're not falling for that. But this is not the point of this video. I wanted to make this video to tell you that it is the month of December, quite possibly the worst month of the year for the normal citizens, but the best month of the year for people doing witchcraft. My grandma always told me the month of December is the devil's month. Yeah.
Really?
The devil goes hard on this month of December because it is the last month of the year. So he needs to put in as much work as possible. So my number one advice to you would be, do not, absolutely not, pick up any type of law from the floor. Yapron, they will get you. And be kind. It goes a very long way.
I know that about the month of December now. Better start paying attention.
Yes, in Haiti, please mind your business. Story time. This one is brought to you by my uncle. This is a Lugawu story, so things might get a little weird, but bear with me. So this lady, we're gonna call her Katya, okay? She is a SW. If you don't know what a SW is, just look it up. But that night, she was out on the street, running the streets, you know, trying to sell some puss. She was standing out there all day. She ain't had no customers. So it's getting late and she's like, you know what, maybe I should leave. But right at the moment that she's thinking that she's gonna leave, this guy in this rich, expensive car pulls up. And for that time, for somebody to have a car like that, that meant that that person had money, okay? It meant that that person meant business. So the car rolls up in front of the SW and he's like, yo, how much for? And she gives him the prices. Depending on what you want, I can provide it for you. He wanted to take her home. He didn't want service on the spot. So he wanted to take her to his house. So she agreed. She gets in his car and they start to drive away. Now the guy, there's really nothing suspicious or off-putting about him, considering like she's a SW. She's used to weirdos. She's used to creeps. So this is like, there's nothing standing out about this guy. He's on the steering wheel and she's next to him on the passenger seat. So they're driving, and y'all. And at some point, it looks like this driver is like basically falling asleep. Like he's just disassociating from the wheel and he looks like he's tired. She doesn't think anything of it and they keep going. They get a little bit further down the road. She saw something from her peripheral morph. So she does one of those and notices that the man who was driving the car turned into a dog.
What the fuck?
With his two front paws on the wheel. This SW is witnessing a dog driving a car when a few seconds before it was a man. So the SW proceeds to take out her cigarette. She had a cigarette like in the back of her ear. She proceeded to take out the cigarette. She lights up the cigarette and starts to smoke. As she lights her cigarette, she starts to chant. She says, moi-même c'est petit Jacques Maget mieux. Pita au moins Jacques Maget. Jacques Maget is a loi. He don't play about his children, so I think that was just her reinforcing her protection. After she says that like 3 times, Jacques Maget c'est petit tout, the freaking dog next to him looks like something startled the dog, and the motherfucker started morphing back into a human. And now it's back to a man driving the car. Now, of course, the story does not end here. The man looks over to her and says, I feel weird. Did you see anything weird? Do you feel anything weird? The SW looking straight ahead at the road says, nope. He said, you didn't sense anything? She said, no, I've just been in this car smoking a cigarette. She said, why? You feeling something? He says, yeah, I felt a little weird, so I just wanted to know if you saw something, if you felt anything. She said, nah, I ain't I see nothing. Must be something in the air. He proceeded to drive all the way to his house. She got there and was absolutely horrified. So while the guy went to go take a shower, she went into his kitchen, grabbed a knife, and kept it underneath her pillow. The whole time she was laying down like this, one arm underneath the pillow, holding on to the weapon. She would go on and do. She held on to that knife whole time, just in case. After they were done, it was way too dark and way too late for her to leave anyway, so she proceeded on staying the night, but she did not sleep all night. All night, she had that one hand under that pillow. The next morning, they woke up, he paid her, and she went on her way. But I was like, wait a minute, she went through with it? And she had to. If she had switched up anywhere in that timeline, that would have been it for her. Anyway, if you guys like these spooky Haitian stories, you can expect that I will be dropping another story time tomorrow. And I have an entire playlist of like 40 something videos, so go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and leave me a follow on TikTok and on Instagram. And leave me a comment letting me know what was your genuine reaction to this story. Also, thank you guys for 50,000 followers. Hi, boo boo.
That's crazy that she still went through with it.
Not only are you not safe on the outside, be careful with how you reject men.
Not everybody can handle rejection, man. Some of them, they take it way too hard and it freaking breaks them down as a person, man. And they do horrible things. You guys, seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I drop a video. And hit that like button, man. It's going to help push into the algorithm, man. Like I said, we're taking this day by day. We're going to take off one day, but thank you guys for joining me on my journey. Guys, are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary, creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, watching the videos entirely, hitting that post notification bell, man. Follow me on my social medias down below, and hitting that like button on each and every single video I drop, man. Greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
Last words people said right before dying. A 20-year-old gang member was dying of primary liver cancer. In his last days, hours, and moments, he was angry. The family called the hospice nurse into the room and told her that they thought he was going. He wasn't responding, his eyes were glossy, his skin was cold, the end was imminent. His lovely mother whispered to him to go towards the light, to her Jesus. He opened his eyes, looked at her, and said, "F your Jesus." A second or two later, he slowly turned his head to the left and got the most horrific look on his face, as if he was looking at something that they couldn't see. And horrified, his face contorted, and he screamed with his last breath, eyes wide, "Oh sh*! Oh sh*! Oh no!" Then he made a guttural noise and promptly fell back into the bed and died. Every family member was shaking and too frightened to speak. The hospice nurse left the room and took 2 days off. She said she doesn't care if she never finds out what he saw.
Things you never knew.
What did he see?
Bears in Russia sometimes become so hungry in the summer that they become desperate for food and go to cemeteries to feast on the recently buried corpses. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space. It lasted around 42 seconds. To this day, we don't know where that signal came from. If you're ever unsure with meeting up with someone and you want to stay safe, use publicdatacheck.com. It allows you to do background checks on anyone. It even has an unknown phone number lookup for those phone numbers that call you that aren't in your contacts. This has saved a lot of people from weird and strange situations. So check out publicdatacheck.com. If your immune system found out you had eyes, it would attack them until you go blind. In 2002, actor Anthony Starr received a 12-month prison sentence because he had a bar fight in Spain. Witnesses say he drunkenly punched and smashed a bottle on a chef's head, saying to him, "You committed the mistake of your life. I'm going to look for you. I want to you. He managed to avoid jail time by paying the victim $4,000. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, let me tell you a secret. Typing scream, all lowercase with the bars around it like this, we'll give you a secret emoji down below. Let's see who can actually do it.
Oh man, the Homeland actor, man. He took that a little bit too seriously. What's that acting called when they, try to stay in character? I forgot, man, but he took this Homeland to take it to the next level. That's kind of insane. I never heard about that story before. Damn. You guys think, man, Homeland in real life going rogue?
Did you know that people have seen mermaids in Indiana?
Ooh.
Well, not the cute Disney mermaids that we're thinking about. No, these mermaids are referred to as mud mermaids. These sightings have been going on since the late 1800s. People in Indiana along the Ohio River have reported to see them on the banks of the river for years. And what they've reported sounds almost a little bit disturbing. These aren't your fairy tale mermaids. People say that they have green skin, hands like humans, but with long talons and webbed fingers, and razor-sharp teeth. They also say that they walk on the banks like dogs because instead of legs, like normal mermaid myths, they have tails. And they have absolutely no hair at all. Now, whatever these weird things may be, people say they're not known to attack. When they're sighted, usually they're eating other fish or frogs. But still, razor-sharp claws and teeth, that doesn't sound very inviting to me. So maybe these are freshwater mermaids, or maybe there's something else entirely. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna stay away from the banks of the Ohio River, because I do not want to run into one and find out if it really is friendly.
Sounds like those are sirens, Those aren't no damn mermaids.
Facts, part 153. Per Olin, known by his stage name Dead, was the lead singer for the Norwegian black metal band Mayhem, as well as the Swedish death metal band Morbid. At age 10, he was attacked by some bullies who injured him so badly that he was legally declared dead for a few minutes. After this incident, Per began an unhealthy obsession with anything related to death. He collected dead birds, wore corpse paint when he performed, and even routinely cut himself while on stage or in front of friends. Olin was believed to have suffered from Cotard syndrome, a mental disorder characterized by the belief that you are truly dead and don't exist in reality. In 1991, Dead took his own life by slicing his wrists and throat and shooting himself in the forehead with a shotgun. He left a note that was very brief because he didn't believe that he was alive in the first place. His body was soon discovered by one of his bandmates, who immediately ran to a nearby store and bought a disposable camera instead of calling 911. He took multiple photos of his dead friend and would later use one of them as cover art for a future album.
This is one of the worst ways somebody has ever died. In October 2012, an awful and disturbing thing happened. A 62-year-old employee at Bumblebee Foods named Jose Molina was having a normal day in the Bumblebee facility in California. In his schedule, Jose was tasked with the performance maintenance on an 11-meter-long industrial oven, so he went inside one of the tanks to begin his work. Believing that Jose was in the bathroom, one of his co-workers actually shut the tank's door, trapping Jose inside, and then filled the oven with 5,400 kilograms of tuna and then turned the oven on. A search then ensued when the manager realized Jose was missing, but by then it was way too late. They found Jose's body 2 hours later inside the oven, completely burnt and melted away, 100% unrecognizable. The temperature inside the oven reached 270 degrees Fahrenheit, and Jose was unfortunately cooked alive inside of the tank with all the fish. And you can only imagine how horrific this death actually was. Could you imagine being cooked alive and then being crushed by tens to thousands of pounds of fish, mixed with the smell, the texture, the heat? This death was just awful. The company Bumblebee and two managers were actually charged for this death, and the company got off with a $6 million settlement. But do you think $6 million is way too low for a death like this? Many people believe it should have been more close to $50 million. Nonetheless, this is by far one of the worst and most uncomfortable deaths of all time, and I can't imagine Jose's thoughts as he was being cooked alive with hundreds of fish.
We need to talk about Johnny Depp's portrayal of the Mad Hatter, because it is full of dark history Easter eggs that you may have missed. If you know of the character the Mad Hatter, then you may also know about the dark history of hatters. For 250 years, people that made hats were using a poisonous mercury-based solution that caused their bodies to fall apart and for them to slowly lose their minds, which I just did a whole episode on that and other deadly beauty and fashion trends that you should check out. When Johnny Depp got the role of the Hatter, he became obsessed with the dark history of hat making, and he wanted to include parts of that history in the character. And the biggest homage he pays to that history is with the orange hair. The mercury solution that hatters used to use was called carroting solution because it was so bright orange. They would sit in these poorly ventilated rooms all day just inhaling the poisonous mercury, getting sicker and sicker. And Johnny Depp wanted to honor that. He wanted the skin to be pale and sickly. He wanted his teeth to look like they were decaying because that's what would happen to these people. And finally, and this is my favorite detail, he put a lot of details into the costume to make it look like he was a hat maker. Up here in his hat, there's tools to make hats. He has a ring that's a push pin, and on the other side he has this belt of thread so he could be sewing hats all day. Anyways, I have so much more on the dark history of hatting in this week's episode, and you're definitely going to want to check it out.
That won't be the first time, man, that a character we seen from a classic movie, something had a tragic back story, or was based off something that was real, that had a dark history. Goes to show you, man, the things we be seeing in this media be stemming from a dark place. You gotta be aware.
Morbid facts about Michael Jackson, Part 3. In 2002, Michael was staying at a hotel in Berlin when he dangled his 9-month-old son blanket over his 4th floor balcony. Jackson claimed he was simply excited and wanted to show off his baby to the fans below, but the media was quick to criticize Michael's parenting skills and life-threatening behavior. Jackson later apologized, stating that it was a mistaken judgment and that he didn't mean to endanger his son. Blanket is now 21 years old and rarely makes public appearances. During the shooting of a Pepsi commercial in 1983, Michael's hair caught on fire when the pyrotechnics went off too early. He suffered second-degree burns to his scalp and permanently lost a chunk of his hair. Many say that this moment was a major turning point in Michael's life, claiming that the painkillers he took after the accident started his downward spiral into a life of pain and drug addiction. But despite all of this, instead of suing Pepsi, Michael asked the company to fund the creation of a burn center.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. If your plane is crashing into the water, just know that flight attendants are trained to not allow any dead bodies on life rafts. That means no saving grandma for her funeral, simply yeet that bitch overboard. 1 out of every 50 women have a third nipple, and 1 out of every 100 men do too. This is known as a supernumerary nipple, and Mark Wahlberg actually has one. Harry Styles has 2. Your baby foreskin can be used as replacement skin for burn victims. That means one can quite literally be a dick face. There are corn stars born in the year 2003. That's the same year The Cat in the Hat came out. Male fetuses get boners in the womb, and these can often be seen on ultrasounds. Motherfucker. After 49 people were killed at the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, cops were investigating the scene, and you'd think it'd be pretty quiet in there. But it was actually filled with sounds of ringing cell phones. Friends, family members, loved ones, calling the people that they knew were at Pulse and hoping they'd answer the phone and say they were okay.
Here are some things that are completely normal during the day, but really creepy at night. Digging holes in your backyard. I mean, it's your backyard, and you're entitled to do whatever you want to it, but if I see you digging some holes in the middle of the night, I'm gonna be really concerned. Bonus creepy points if you have some trash bags next to you, too. I feel bad for people who work graveyard shifts or are night owls, because it makes it difficult to do any gardening or landscaping without looking pretty creepy. They say a child's laughter is one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, but not if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Scary movies have absolutely ruined the sound of a child laughing for me, because most instances, I'm gonna assume the worst. And for some reason, little girls laughing are even more scary. Like, imagine being in the woods camping and you hear some little girl laughing in the distance. My brain isn't gonna think, oh cool, some family must be camping near us. No, I'm gonna think that I'm gonna get murdered or possessed by some demon. Someone knocking on your door during the day, it's annoying. Who the fuck is showing up at my house unannounced? It must be a salesman or, worse, Mormons. That same knock at 3 in the morning? No, I'm getting murdered for sure. I'm on the 2nd floor, and my only way out is to jump out the window, so I'm done for.
What the heck? Y'all jumping out the window, seekers, man. Somebody attack you at 3 o'clock in the morning? Man, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. That's definitely an edit. Call him out.
Morbid Facts, Part 269. Actor and comedian David Spade has a tragic past. His dad walked out on him when he was a toddler, and his stepdad took his own life when he was a teenager. His first best friend died in a motorcycle crash. His second best friend, Chris Farley, died from an overdose, and his sister-in-law, Kate Spade, took her own life. Not to mention, David's own assistant once broke into his home and tased David while he was sleeping, forcing Spade to grab his shotgun and threaten to shoot. In 2012, Dutch taxidermist Bart Jansen turned his dead cat Orville into a functioning drone to pay tribute to the cat's love for birds. Jansen has since launched his own animal drone company that turns family pets into flying machines. In the original Friday the 13th, an actual snake was killed in the scene where one was found in the cabin. The snake's handler, who wasn't told that the snake would be killed for the movie, was incredibly upset and had to be held back by crew members when it happened.
Man, what the hell? Took it too far.
Probably keep you up at night. Number 1, your ears never stop growing. They get bigger and bigger the more you age. Number 2, during a person's lifetime, on average, a person spends 1 whole year sitting on the toilet. Number 3, in 1977, we received an audio signal from space that was 42 seconds long. To this day, we don't know where this audio signal came from. Number 4, raining animals. Throughout history, there have been documented instances of animal rain, a phenomenon where frogs, fish, and even spiders are swept up in waterspouts and then fall from the sky with raindrops. Number 5, the zone of silence is an area in Mexico where radio signals and any type of communication cannot be received or sent. Number 6, the boiling river. In the heart of the Peruvian Amazon lies a river so hot that it boils. The Shanai Tempishka River. It reaches temperatures up to 93 degrees Celsius or 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
Damn.
Number 7, the sleeping city of Kalachi. Residents of Kalachi, Kazakhstan, have been plagued by a mysterious condition that causes people to fall asleep for several days, often waking up with no memory of the episode. Investigations suggest that elevated levels of carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons due to uranium mines might be the cause, though no definite explanation has been established. Number 8, the Voynich manuscript. This mysterious book dates back to the 15th century. It is filled with writings of an unknown language or code and detailed illustrations of non-existent plants, astronomical diagrams, and strange human-like figures in bizarre contexts. Despite efforts of cryptographers and scholars, no one was able to solve these codes. We don't know what the book says. We don't know who wrote it.
These are the 5 scariest space facts. You've been warned. If a massive asteroid was headed for the Earth, the chances are there isn't really much we could do. At any moment, the sun could emit a coronal mass ejection aimed at the Earth, and if we weren't prepared for it, it could destroy the entire world's energy grid and leave us without power for years. There are black holes lurking in the shadows, roaming throughout our galaxy, and if one entered our solar system, it would be all over. When a star runs out of fuel, it can emit a gamma ray burst, and if a star within 3,000 light years of Earth happened to emit a gamma ray burst, and it was aimed at us, the ozone layer would be destroyed. Finally, every year there is more space junk created, putting us at risk of being trapped within the Earth.
How are we polluting space now too?
If you haven't heard about the extremely disturbing case known as the Girl Scout murders, then you may want to stick around. Viewer discretion is advised. In June of 1977, more than 100 girls headed off to Camp Scott in Locust Grove, Oklahoma, hoping for a summer filled with fun and newfound friendships. But little did these girls know that their dream would become short-lived extremely fast after a tragic event took place on the campgrounds. It was about 2 months before the incident occurred when a young camp counselor found a note in her belongings claiming that there was going to be 3 girls in one tent murdered this year while all the girls were attending camp. Knowing that the campers and other counselors like to play pranks on one another, she just dismissed the note and left it there as a joke. But little did she know that she would come to regret this very quickly when the tragic events began to unfold on the campgrounds. On the night of June 12, 1977, a storm blew through Oklahoma, leaving the girls to take cover and hide away in their sleeping bags to be protected from the bad weather. It wouldn't be until the next morning that a camp counselor would come and check on the girls after the storm and realize that 3 of them were stuffed deep down in their sleeping bags with bloody sheets and signs of strangulation, rape, and even mutilation. The 3 girls whose dead bodies were found in those sleeping bags were 8-year-old Lori Farmer, 9-year-old Michelle Goose, and 10-year-old Denise Milner. After the death of these 3 innocent girls, police and other law enforcement agencies rushed to the scene so that they could start their investigation and get to the bottom of who could have possibly targeted these 3 innocent girls. Discovered near the campgrounds was a cave that police would decide to go into, where they would find masking tape and 2 wedding photos, which seemed to be a very strange combination. After the photos were released to the public, an old prison employee actually called in, claiming that he has seen those photos before and he's almost certain he knows who committed these horrific acts on these young women. And he believed that the person behind these sick and twisted murders was a man by the name of Gene Leroy Hart, who was an escaped convict and convicted rapist back during the time of the Girl Scout murders. The crazy thing is, Hart was actually acquitted due to the lack of evidence on the police end, and he claimed that he was actually framed and that he did not commit the murders, even though there was trace evidence of his DNA found at the crime scene. And it's still unknown if Hart actually committed these murders or if he was actually just framed. And now, here in 2023, after the not guilty verdict years and years ago, there is new evidence that has arisen that Gene Leroy Hart was actually very closely linked with these murders.
Gotta wait with that all that damn time. Creepy cave seekers.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours, and then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Karen, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one 2-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Ooh. Okay. What are they here for then? Interesting question, Seekers, man. Maybe we'll have to try to find a follow-up to that. Insane story, Seekers. You guys, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys, man, hit that like button, man. Follow me on my social medias down below. Links will be in the description, man, so we always can stay connected together as a community. You guys now do daily uploads every single day, so always make sure you check the channel at least once time every single day. You can find a new upload. You guys gonna catch it in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down, man, the scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, man, hitting that post notification bell on every single video. You guys are help pushing us into the algorithm, man. Really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man. Let's seek the truth.
Was taken by her white father. This is Zarya Jocelyn Burgess, and she was born on December 23rd of 2003 in North Carolina. Zarya's parents were separated and she lived with her mother in Union County. Her father, Joshua Burgess, was very involved in her life and they were actually very close. He would always tell her that he loved her and he would not exchange her for anything in the world. On August 17th of 2019, Zarya went to her father's house to spend the weekend with him. The very next day, Joshua had walked into the Union County Sheriff Office to turn himself in because he had killed someone and the body was still at his home. Officers went immediately to the scene, and that's when they found the lifeless body of 15-year-old Zarya. An autopsy revealed that she had a strong wound on her neck which caused her death, but she was also strangled, tortured, and abused for 22 hours by her father. When Joshua was interrogated, he confessed that he ended his daughter's life over lust and wanted control over her. Officers ended up finding Joshua's Facebook page, and it was speculated that he was a white supremacist and what he did to his daughter was part of a ritual. It was found that Joshua was liking multiple anti-black pages, and he had even made a post saying, "I like to cut people off. Oops, I mean things. I like to cut things." Zarya's relatives believe that Joshua did this to her because he wanted to get revenge on her mom because they did not get along. In May of 2022, Joshua's trial began, and he was sentenced to die by lethal injection.
Today I was asked, who has killed the most people in history? And what I found will leave you speechless. Now, most people probably assume that the answer is Adolf Hitler, the architect of the Holocaust. Others might guess the answer is the Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin, but both Stalin and Hitler were outdone by one man named Mao Zedong. From 1958 to 1962, his Great Leap Forward policy led to the deaths of up to 45 million people, easily making it the biggest episode of mass murder to have ever occurred. In pursuit of this utopian paradise, Mao Zedong herded villagers from all across China into giant people's communes so that everything was collectivized. People had their work, their home, their land, belongings, livelihoods, all of it taken away. In collective canteens, food distributed by spoonful according to merit became a weapon used to force people to follow the party's every dictate. Now, historians have speculated that tens of millions died from starvation alone. And it is not only the sheer number of people that were killed, but also the manner in which people died. Between 2 and 3 million victims were tortured to death or similarly killed, and often for the slightest infraction. There's one story of a boy who stole a handful of grain in a commune, and they forced his father to bury him alive. The father died of grief a few days later. Another time, a man had his ears chopped off, his legs tied with iron wire, a 10-kilogram stone repeatedly dropped on his back, and then he was branded with a sizzling tool. And all of this was punishment for digging up a potato.
Damn, man. Goes to show you like how the history books sometimes I could just be like, don't be having all the information there, because watching this video today, man, I would have never guessed in a million years that something like that even happened. It goes to show you, man, how you gotta always do your deep dive and do your own research, bro. There are things that are hidden to us, man.
Have you heard about the doctor that injected monkey private parts into humans? The pictures get bizarre. In the 1920s, a Russian doctor, Sergei Voronov, studied how transplanting male genitalia from younger to older sheep would hypothetically improve their strength, lifespan, and reverse aging. So of course, he wanted to apply this logic to humans. And he did his first experiments by taking the private parts of death row inmates and transplanting them into rich old people. This procedure became popular. Thousands of people had it done. And as it became more popular, Voronov needed more supplies. So he started breeding and using chimpanzees. By the 1940s, this experiment was proven not to be true at all and was essentially labeled as witchcraft. Comment your thoughts.
That's insane. Who the hell would do something like that?
Things humans were never meant to see. Firstly, some beaches have had their oceans turn red, and this is what it looks like. Here is what's going on in the woods of Quebec. People believe the forest is actually alive. Different channels have different advertisements on the boards during sports games. My life is a lie. I didn't even think this was possible. This guy was driving and found the end of the rainbow. Okay, but did you know tigers also have stripes on their skin? Next, this is what fireworks look like during the day. This feels illegal to watch. Finally, here's what the inside of a ramen cup looks like. We've been scammed our whole lives.
Weird facts. Tap in with us. You gonna learn. I didn't know fireworks look like that doing it well. Why? I guess you know why they always shoot them off at night now. I said edit, calling out like we see it.
Animals as skinwalkers. Deer. Dog.
A really strange story was the picture that came out of the Varana cruise liner. Large ship that went down in the Atlantic Ocean in 2014, and nobody really knew why at the time. There were very few survivors of this, and the news kind of like mulled over this for months. They were doing deep dives onto the ship to look for very like sinister evidence and relics. Of those who did survive, they all kind of shared this very strange story because they claimed they saw something kind of unexplainable in the water. For a while, it just kind of continued as that. It was just a story. These things kept going on. Like people kept diving down there, trying to collect relics, evidence, anything they could from the ship, and they found this. The phone of one of the passengers who died, and even though it was waterlogged for a long time, it was still semi-functional. On the phone, this was a photo that was apparently found, leaked from an evidence bank in 2017, and it's hard to refute what this picture is. An unexplained shot of just someone standing in the water, eerily enough taken on the same day the ship sank.
What do we think of that? That can't be a coincidence, right? They said people were sharing the same story, they saw the same thing, and it was on the phone. On the phone log, even though it's water jams, like they said, it was still functional where they got that picture. It's like she was hovering over the water. I don't know what the hell that picture was. I'm going to deep dive into that one.
These are some internet mysteries that will never be solved. So Cicada 3301, a set of 3 puzzles mysteriously released on 4chan in the early 2010s, has only been solved by a few individuals, with the final puzzle still remaining unsolved 10 years later. GhostNet was a large-scale cyber espionage operation in 2009 that infiltrated the computers of thousands of governments and organizations in over 100 countries, but 15 years later, and there's no idea who was behind this, the Bitcoin founder, operating under the alias Satoshi Nakamoto, mysteriously disappeared in 2012 after founding the cryptocurrency in 2009, with no traces to his $30 billion fortune. This song, dubbed the most mysterious song ever created, played on a Germany radio station in the 80s, but there's not a single clue where it originated from, like not a single person. Chip Chan is a Korean woman who's been live streaming herself every day for the last 20 years, claiming that the Korean government planted a mind control device in her foot. She has a YouTube channel too. And finally, the YouTube channel Unfavorable Semicircle has posted over 72,000 videos just featuring static and colors, which doesn't seem to lead to anything, but may have a hidden meaning.
This is a story.
Okay.
That shows you how.
What's weird was that Bitcoin founder piece. That one really gets the mind turning. Edit.
Could these be zombie hands? Hello, my friend. My name is Aslan, and today we're looking at something called Dead Man's Fingers, also known as Zarya polymorphia. Believe it or not, this is actually a fungus. As you probably guessed, it gets the name Dead Man's Fingers from the fact that it looks like a zombie hand reaching out of the ground. Funny enough, it actually grows around the base of dying trees. This picture is probably the creepiest to me because it looks like the toes of a corpse. And that's our first episode of Spooky Season.
That's some characteristics.
Orangutans never been on record murking a person. Allegedly. But if looks could kill, they'd make Bundy blush. Somehow one of the most wholesome animals in nature got stuck with a paralysis demon for a face card. Not the first time. So the reason they go from this to that is because dominant males will develop these kind of fatty cheek pads or cheek flaps called phalanges. It's for real a BBL to the face that can take 15, sometimes 20 years to come in. You know the rules, if you see it in nature and it doesn't make sense, it probably has something to do with getting laid. Males with bigger phalanges are seen as more attractive, so while it does make it look like puberty hit them harder than Hiroshima, it does serve its purpose. It's not the only time we see this kind of thing. Male mandrills look like they got rear-ended by a snow cone machine because the most colorful ones are the ones that won the most fights and are a female's first choice. Black, bad female macaques are built like a Drake flower because their built-in seat cushion actually swells up when they're in heat to let every male in the area know when she's open for business. A lot of bab. Actually, I just heard myself. That was a Drake paying for BBL's joke. Don't take it the other way. I swear y'all not doing it to me. This ad getting canceled before I do. A lot of monkeys have their chest blisters swell up when they're ready to get down. Last chance to scroll in 3, 2, 1. Should have taken it. And the orange man ain't so bad now. BBL Drizzy.
That's crazy.
Creepy things caught in music videos. In 2011, iconic boy band One Direction released their biggest hit, which currently is standing at 1 billion views, What Makes You Beautiful. The lyrics, the rhythm, and the way the music video was shot was all perfectly executed for it to become one of the biggest love songs of that time. However, there is one scene in the music video that left a lot of people confused. For a brief second, while the boys are singing and dancing, behind them you can see what appears to be a child. Now the logical answer could be that someone's kid just ran on set, hid throughout the video, and just so happened to pop out at that time. However, most sets tend to do sweeps to make sure they don't have to do any retakes, as it tends to be pretty expensive. But what do you guys think? Did a child sneak on set, or was it something else?
Where the kid at? That one's crazy, man. We know what be going on in the music industry, so I don't know if we could just brush that one off as saying it was a mistake.
This child was born brainless. Jackson Buell was born in 2014 without a brain. Doctors had advised Jackson's parents to terminate the pregnancy, but the family never gave up on their baby. After birth, doctors said the baby wouldn't survive, but Jackson clung to life with the love of his family. However, Jackson's tiny body could only endure the lack of a brain for a maximum of 5 years. Unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 5. Be careful what...
That's a sad and tragic story. I didn't even know something like that was possible. He was born without a brain. He made it 5 years. He defied the odds.
You put in your body.
In 2014, a couple returned to their home to find it trashed in baffling ways. There was lotion all over the door handles, all of their shoes had had their soles ripped off of them, and someone had dumped an entire can of paint all over the toilet. Despite the obvious break-in, the police come and can't find any evidence of theft, so they leave thinking the couple's not in danger anymore. That night, the couple hears scratching underneath their bed and what sounds like a crying animal. Not wanting to find out what it was, they leave and call the cops, who come right back and start investigating the house, and they make a startling discovery in their bedroom. Wedged underneath the couple's bed was this 90-pound tiny little woman carrying a huge butcher's knife and a hypodermic needle. As they're taking this crazy lady away in handcuffs, one of the officers comes over to the couple and is like, so she was high on meth, and for at least 2 hours, she had been burrowing a hole in the underside of your mattress with that knife to get to you.
So I never do drugs. It turns you into a completely different person. Stay away from that. They were that close to almost and being all over.
Weird facts about the world, part 1. It snows in the Sahara Desert. Coca-Cola does not exist in only 2 countries. Colombia's brightest rainbow is in a river. You're always 7 years behind Ethiopia.
Wow, really? So where is it in Ethiopia now?
Hello, my friend. That individual there is rather frightening, but part of a very interesting belief system. A rather small community within the world of Hinduism known as the Agori. They worship the god known as Shiva and believe that because Shiva created everything, everything is inherently perfect. There's no good or bad. And so they take part in a range of rituals designed to oppose the ideals of purity in other major sects of Hinduism. When one becomes an Agori, they must find a skull from the Ganga river of a guru, which they will eat out of for the rest of their life. They do take part in cannibalism, however they only eat those that have already passed away. They also meditate while sitting on corpses, along with a range of other rather unique practices. And interestingly, they've actually been around for quite a long time.
I think I didn't see that clip before, but I remember I saw I think a clip on Twitter of that what we had just seen about how say they wanted to eat him, and reporters still bosses egging them on, just no, you can stay here, ask more questions. It's did you not just hear what he said, or what you about to do, and you still home to ask more questions? The things people do for views is that money. Never ceases to amaze me, bro. Would you stay there after what he just said?
Welcome to ridiculous things going on around the world right now that for some reason you just haven't heard about. Part 24.
Break it down.
First, scientists recently identified 29 habitable planets where aliens could be observing Earth from. These habitable planets are close enough for them to intercept a clear signal of human existence. Signals like radio and TV broadcasts, which started about 100 years ago. I'm not saying that aliens are observing us, but scientists say it could be possible. Next, microscopic freshwater-dwelling organisms just came back to life after being frozen for 24,000 years. A recent study unearthed 24,000-year-old permafrost and found living organisms in it. Next, the last supermoon of 2021 is happening soon, so listen up if you want to see it. This specific supermoon is called the Strawberry Moon. The full moon will reach peak illumination on Thursday, June 24th, and will appear full for 3 days.
I see that moon. Y'all have to check it out, see if that's fact or cat. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, man, like I said, if you guys see the edits, boy, y'all can call them out down below too. So we ain't the only one.
I thought that I had seen everything when it came to cults, but you are not prepared for what this cult believes. So HBO just released this documentary about the Love is One cult, which was run by this woman, Amy Carlson, who calls herself Mother God. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but she believed she was controlled by the spirit of Robin Williams, and this yassified version of Saint Germain. Also, I cover a lot of dark stuff on this page, so you should follow along. She also said she could channel and get advice from this galactic federation of dead celebrities. There's Mr. Rogers, Carrie Fisher, Steve Irwin, and randomly Donald Trump, who is not dead. But Robin Williams is at the top, and so the cult believes they're getting a lot of advice through Robin Williams, so they'll say things like, so one of the beliefs that this cult has is that one day Robin Williams is going to arrive in a spaceship to take Mother God away so that she can spiritually ascend. He also told her that she can only be 103 pounds to get on the spaceship, which is why she's trying to lose a lot of weight. Eventually, Mother God starts getting sicker and sicker, and also bluer and bluer because of the colloidal silver supplements they won't stop giving her, and everyone thinks, oh my god, Robin Williams must be coming on a spaceship really soon to help Mother ascend. Eventually, she passes away, and guess what? Shockingly, Robin Williams does not descend in an intergalactic spaceship to come collect the 103-pound body of Mother God. And so the cult members just have her body. They don't know what to do with it. They thought Robin Williams was going to come. So they hang out with it for 12 days until the police finally show up. Anyways, this whole thing is a trip. You just gotta watch it to believe it.
4 things you didn't know about the TV show Unsolved Mysteries. A day after releasing on Netflix, the producers have received 20 credible tips towards solving the cases. 3 of these tips were passed on to the FBI. These 3 tips were about Alonzo Brooks, Ray Rivera, and Lena Chapin. Unsolved Mysteries is a reboot of the show Unsolved Mysteries from the 1990s. This show had 15 seasons with 580 episodes. Thousands of tips had been sent by users, and 280 of the cases were resolved because of them. The executive producer of the new Unsolved Mysteries is Sean Levy, who also directed and produced Stranger Things. Updates of the cases will either be posted on the website unsolved.com, the show's social media, or in the next season.
Goes to show you, man.
This man paid a homeless man $200 to essay his wife. In March of 2016, 48-year-old Russell Higgins had approached Hiliki Grade and asked him if he wanted to make some extra money. Russell claimed that his wife had a SA fantasy and he wanted to help make it a reality, so he offered him $200 and drove him to his house. That same day, a 911 call was made to police in Tehachapi, California, and the caller stated that she had just got S8 and her husband was watching the whole thing, and he was actually the one that directed the attack. When police arrived to the home, they found an unidentified woman, 48-year-old Russell, and Hiliki. The woman had told police that she had just got home from work, and when she walked into her bedroom, that her husband and that man were hiding in her bedroom in the dark, and that's when they just attacked her. The men had tied her up, and Hiliki had ripped the clothes off of her body, and under direction from Russell, he continued to essay her. As Hiliki was essaying that woman, Russell had gave him suggestions on new positions and some tips. The woman was able to bite her husband's hand during the attack, but he threatened to kill her, her children, and grandchildren if she were to resist. After the SA, Russell had ordered his wife to go take a shower to remove any kind of DNA evidence, so she turned on the shower, washed her hair, and she did not wash her body. The woman handed over her husband's phone to the police and told them that it contained hundreds of thousands SA photos. The police conducted an essay kit on the woman and it revealed that her attacker was Hiliki Green. Police tracked down Hiliki in Bakersfield, California, and when he spoke to police, he stated that he didn't think that he was essaying the woman because Russell said that this was her fantasy. He stated that he smoked before Russell had approached him and he really wanted the $200 to buy more drugs and that him and Russell had smoked right after the essay. Both Russell and Hiliki were found guilty, and Russell will be sentenced to 53 years to life in prison, and Hiliki will be sentenced to 118 years to life in prison, and both will be eligible for parole in March of 2041.
This is a true horrifying story,
the same
part
sentence.
32. In parts 25, 26, and 27, I warned you all about the most dangerous book that was ever written, Shams al-Ma'arif. This book is a portal to the world of jinns and demons. There's a person that read this book, and this person faces traumatic incidents every single day. She's a woman from Jordan. She graduated university being the top-graded student. She is a genius. She has read hundreds of novels. She had a strong passion for books. She heard about this book called Shams al-Ma'arif. She couldn't live knowing that there's a book that has a strong story behind it without reading it. After many months of trying to find the real copy of this book, she heard about an old man that lives in Jordan that had an ancient copy of Shams al-Ma'arif. She got in touch with him, and he refused to sell the book, but she didn't quit. It took her many weeks to finally buy the book off of him. She goes back home and immediately starts reading the book. After she read the first few chapters of the book, she felt kind of hungry, so she decided to go to the kitchen and prepare some food and then continue reading. As she goes into the kitchen, she opens the oven and a gale of fire burns her face. She spent 3 weeks in the burn unit rehabilitation. The oven was switched off. No one knows till this day where the flames came from. She had multiple plastic surgeries to recover her facial features, but till this day, her face is not what it used to be. After recovery, she goes home weeks later and she looks for the book, knowing that the jinn was the reason she was harmed. She tried to find the book for many days, but it was lost. Years go by. She was home watching TV one day. She came across an Islamic channel that had a live interview program. An old man was being interviewed on this channel. He was asked by the imams about the dangers of a black magic book that he owns. His body was very unusual and his face was burned off. He got a book from under the table and he said this: "I once sold this book to a young woman a long time ago, and the demons warned me not to stop my rituals, and if I gave the book away, they would burn my face and they would burn hers. And after I gave the book, I woke up the next day without my normal face. And the book I sold to that woman was right there laying next to me on bed. I knew that it was the jinns that brought the book back to me. And this is when I strengthened my iman and I quit black magic." Quote. This was all said on TV, and the poor girl was just standing there, watching the same man speak. The man on TV was the man that gave her the book. The book he showed on TV was the book he handed to her. That was the book that was lost. The book that she was looking for.
How the hell did he get into her place and got it back? Creepy case. See you guys. You guys, if you made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, man. Like I said, guys, we're going slowly but surely, so I appreciate each and every support you guys are showing on these videos. Every like, every comment, it really pushes the channel forward in the direction we want to go. Like I said, man, tell me down below, man, anything I can do to make the channel better. Follow me on my socials. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.